Hey there everybody, welcome to Auto Bears, and it's always a good day when I can bring a new brand to the channel. So ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to this, the BYD Seal. Now, there's probably a few of you out there who've never heard of BYD, and they have actually slipped into the UK under the radar. They have got 3 models available, including the Atto 3, the Dolphin, and this, the Seal. Now, I'm getting to drive this for the first time today, and this car is very important for the Chinese brand because this is taking on the very successful Tesla Model 3, but also the very quirky and brilliant Hyundai Ioniq 6. So I'm going to be having a quick look around the exterior and interior of the Seal, going to take it for a quick drive, and I'm going to let you know what it's all about, and also, here comes the pun, if it gets my seal of approval. Yes, I know that is very cringeworthy, but sod it. Here's a nice little Seal impression for you. Okay, so all jokes aside, this is a car that's taken on, as I said, the Tesla Model 3 and the Hyundai Ioniq 6. So when it comes to styling, this has got to stand out. And I'll tell you one thing, it really does. This is a gorgeous car, especially when you see it in the metal. We've got the distinctive headlights and also these DRLs, which really do stand out and instantly make the Seal recognizable. We've also got the traditional kind of saloon shape that we're seeing with these electric vehicles, where it is all about efficiency and aerodynamics, and this has a brilliant drag coefficient. I'll put it on the screen now for you, and it just happens to be, I think, just a very good looking car, especially at the back as well. Yes, we have got a traditional tail light bar, which does look really good, but we also have a teardrop effect on the surrounds as well, again making the Seal very distinctive. But I actually think, yeah, this is a gorgeous car. We got 19-inch alloy wheels as standard, and they have got the aerodynamic blade look to them. But I think the Seal will definitely be a big hit in the UK, especially when it comes to the looks, because this really does stand out. And I do think it gives the likes of Tesla and Hyundai a bit of a run for their money. Definitely Hyundai have the quirkiness with the Streamliner-based Ioniq 6, but this is definitely much more interesting than even the revised version of the Tesla Model 3. But let me know what you think in the comments section below. But yeah, I really am loving the exterior look to the Seal, and I think it's now time we have a little look on the interior. Sat in the front of the Seal, you are greeted by a very comfortable, beautifully designed and really well screwed together interior. This is a really lovely and pleasant place to be. Now, because the Seal is a saloon car, it means that getting in and out of the Seal does require a little bit of bending to get inside of the cabin. Now, if you do suffer from any kind of mobility issues, I would possibly look at recommending another car. Now, BYD, I do believe I've got a SUV version of the Seal coming in 2024. And if I have got my facts correct, I'll put it on the screen for you now. But once you're sat inside the Seal, you find that the seats are incredibly comfortable. They hold a big bear like me in place, and there is plenty of electric adjustment. Also with the steering, where it got both rake and reach adjustment. So getting the perfect driving position is easy. And then, like I said, interior quality is a real standout area as well. We've got, I think it's Alcantara on the dash. We have got some leatherette trim here on top of the dash as well, and on the top of the door panels. Bit more Alcantara and some leatherette there on the door panels as well. These seats are also proper leather, and they are, yeah, just very comfortable and a really lovely place to be. Cubby spaces in the Seal are actually pretty impressive. We've got some decent sized door pockets where you can get a medium, possibly even large size bottle of drink in there. Now, they're not lined with fabric, but it does feel like there's a bit of a soft plastic in there, so loose items shouldn't make too much noise when they're rattling around in there. Now, on the center console up front, we've actually got 2 wireless charging pads for your phones. That's the first time I've ever come across this in a vehicle. So that's really impressive, and it is rubber lined, so your phone is not going to go anywhere. Then just behind the gear lever, we have got a couple of cup holders, and they are rubber lined as well with a couple of plastic grippers, so your bottles shouldn't really go anywhere. So that's really nice and handy. Then under the armrest, we've got a bit of additional space. Again, it is rubber lined, and it is, yeah, very useful for putting some items away and keeping them out of sight. And then we have got your glove box, which is lined with fabric. It's a decent size in there, and there's actually no book pack, so it is a useful bit of space. And then finally, underneath this floating center console, we got a bit of additional storage under there, similar to what you get in cars like the Ioniq 5. Now there also we get your USB-A, USB-C and 12-volt socket, but I will mention that it's not rubber lined down there, it is hard plastic, so loose items might make some noise. But yeah, when it comes to cubby features here in the Seal, I am very impressed by it. Now, I actually haven't got too much time with the Seal because this is a media drive day, so I'm going to move straight on to the infotainment system and the driver data display. Now, I'm just going to turn the car on to bring it to life. So you get a nice little animation when it starts up. Now, the driver data display is actually really nice and clear. All the graphics are just, yeah, crystal clear, and it's easy to read when on the move, and you're not really bombarded with information, so I do like how it is presented. And it's actually nice to have a digital dashboard and not have anything there like you would do in, say, a Tesla Model 3. Now we have got the main infotainment system. So it is a 15.6 inch display. As you can see, it is in a landscape format, and the actual systems itself are really nice and easy to use. It's responsive, it's doing everything I want. Of course, this being a full electric car, like a lot of these new electric cars, especially the ground up ones, a lot of the features are done via the touchscreen, including the dual zone climate control. But what I like is that the icons, for the most part, are really nice and big. So it should be nice and easy to use when on the move, and it is responsive, so I do like that. However, there are people out there that just aren't fans of landscape screens. But you know what? BYD have you covered, because you can turn the screen from landscape to portrait. So you've got the same swiping system, just as responsive. You can go around and check things like the cameras and everything. It is actually a really nice system. I'm going to put it back into landscape because that's what I prefer. And yeah, I like it. It's a nice system. Just doing the cameras here, it's lovely and responsive. I can see what's going on all around. You got a central home button. Also, something I do love is this glass roof as well. That is standard, and it just covers the entirety of the Seal. So yeah, I am impressed by that. So on that note, I'll shut him off, and let's see what it's like in the back. Sat in the back of the Seal, it's actually very comfortable and spacious back here. What I do like is that there's no drop in quality, and comfortable place to be, but there are a couple of little surprises back here which I'll go on to in a moment. Now, that driving seat is not set to my driving position, it's actually moved back a couple of inches, but as you can see, I've got a really good amount of knee room, and headroom is not too bad either. I would say if you are 6 foot tall, you might find the top of your head rubbing against the panoramic glass roof. And then when it comes to things like cubby spaces, we find that the door pockets are actually of a very decent size. You could probably get a small to medium sized bottle of drink in there, but they're not lined with any fabric, so loose items will rattle around a bit. Now, we have got your aeroplane style pockets on the backs of the front seats. We've also got these smaller pockets as well, which are perfect for putting your mobile phone in if you want to have it charging whilst you're on the move. And then we have got things like your center armrest, which I can pull down now. So we have got a couple of extra cup holders, which I do like the fact that they are rubber lined with some plastic grippers. So that's something I do like. And just looking here, there's no through loading into the boot area. And then we've got a little kind of tray area here. Now, it is hard plastic, but again, it's somewhere nice to put your phone whilst you're on the move. Now, just below there, we have got what looks like an old-fashioned ashtray, but it's actually a little lid that unveils a USB-A and a USB-C charger. So that's perfect for charging your mobile devices when on the move. Now, when it comes to kids sat in the back of the Seal, we have got ISOFIX supports on the outer seats and on the front passenger seat. And what I like, which is the first time I've come across this, it's like a rubbery plastic cover, which means it's very easy to affix a child's seat. So I do like that. The windows as well are of a really nice size and shape. They open about 95 to 98% of the way down, but it's absolutely fine for resting your arm on. So yeah, sat in the back of the Seal is actually not too bad, but here are my two little niggles that I've come across. Even though this is not the top spec, but they are very keenly spec'd with the design and the elegance trims, or the excellence trims. I haven't got any heated seats in the back here. And I've also got no tri-zone climate control, so that's just something to be aware of. There are other cars out there where you can get that spec'd on the car. But I'll be honest, I really wouldn't be too concerned with that, because you can just turn up the AC at the front and get the heat and everything coming through. But yeah, being sat back here, it is lovely and spacious for somebody of my height. I do love that glass roof. Granted, there is a cover you can buy and assemble to put that on. Again, I'll do that when I get the Seal for a full review, just to see how easy it is. But yeah, it's really nice, and like I said, there's no step down in quality. And on that note, I think it's time we have a quick look at the boot. So here at the back of the Seal, as you can see, there's no badging or anything at the top of the boot lid. It's actually here in the corner where you get the brand name and the model name next to it. Now, if you go for the top of the range excellence, it does actually say underneath 3.8S. Now, that's nothing to do with power or anything like that. That's just the Seal boasting its 0 to 62 time. Yep, sub 4 seconds, I'd be boasting about it as well. But anyway, back to the boot. When you do get it open, you are greeted with 400 litres of space, which is 1 litre shy of the Hyundai Ioniq 6, which is one of the Seal's rivals. However, I really like that boot shape. I know it is a saloon, but that's a nice wide square opening, hardly any boot lip to navigate over. So it does mean you could get perhaps a large suitcase and a couple of weekend bags in there. So that is actually pretty decent. Now, when it comes to features, we've got a little bit of netting on the left-hand side, and we've got a bit of underfloor storage, which is very handy for stowing your cables or any items you don't want people to see. And that's about it. Also, there's no levers or anything to get the rear seats down, and bear with me 1 second. Yeah, you have to do it from the rear passenger doors in order to get the seats down. So that's a little bit disappointing, but it is a decent boot capacity, and like I said, it's actually very easy to get some bulky items into the boot of your Seal. Now, we do actually have a frunk at the front of the Seal, and it has got a lid on it, and it is 53 litres, and that's whether you go for the rear wheel drive or the all-wheel drive. So that is handy and does beat the like a Hyundai Ioniq 6. But yeah, it is a decent boot capacity. I do like the opening for it. It is nice and wide, and yeah, should be absolutely fine for a week shopping, or like I said, a large suitcase or a few weekend bags. Now, as I said, I haven't got the Seal for long, so let's get this boot closed and take it for a drive. So once you get driving the Seal, just like other electric cars out there, it's a very lovely, refined and quiet car to get in and go, and it's actually a very easy car to drive. Now, because this is a saloon car or sedan for our US viewers, when it comes to visibility, it is surprisingly good. Being a dedicated EV, I've got a cracking view of the road ahead. I can't see the front of the bonnet because it has got that little short overhang, being an EV. The A-pillars are quite chunky and thick, but they are quite steeply raked, and at the moment I've not had any issues if I'm going to go around any corners or junctions. It doesn't create too much of a blind spot. And surprisingly, for an electric car, I've got traditional wing mirrors which give me a wonderful view behind, and I've got blind spot monitoring as well. And then finally, if I look over my shoulder, I've actually got a thin C-pillar. There's an extra little window in there as well, so again, doesn't create too much of a blind spot. Finally, rear visibility. Now, being a saloon, yes, it is a little bit of a letterbox view, but not really got any major complaints. And being an electric car with all the bells and whistles, when it comes to parking, you have got your 360 cameras, your parking sensors, so it does make parking a doddle. But yeah, first impressions when you get going in the BYD Seal are really positive. It's a lovely place to be. I really do like the kind of air of quality in the cabin. It does feel like a premium product, and yeah, I could easily imagine myself spending a good few hours driving the Seal on a long journey and coming out the other end with a big smile on my face. yeah, first impressions are very good. Now, when it comes to trim levels in the Seal range, there are two to choose from, but it's not necessarily in regards to standard equipment. So you got the entry-level design, and then you got the top of the range excellence, which is what I've got here. But in terms of standard equipment, they are pretty much identical. The only extras you get on the excellence is the head-up display and their ITAC or ICAT safety system. And I'll put a little thing on the screen for you guys to see what that's all about. But when it comes to standard kit, yeah, they're exactly the same. So it actually comes down to what type of Seal do you want? Do you want range or do you want performance? So the design comes with a single motor at the back, so it's rear wheel drive, and that gives you a maximum range of around 354 miles. That's what BYD claim. However, if you want a bit of extra performance, you can go for the Excellence, which is what I've got here. It's all-wheel drive, so you've got dual motors, and that gives you a range of about 323 miles, so it's not too much of a sacrifice. But when it comes to the battery itself, it is an 82.5 kilowatt hour battery. Now, if you go for the design, you are going to have around 308 brake horsepower, but if you go for this Excellence with its dual motors, that gets increased to around 523 brake horsepower. So yeah, that's a bit of a power hike, but it does mean performance is impressive as well. So 0 to 62 with the rear wheel drive design is around 5.9 seconds. However, with this Excellence, it's up to 3.8. That's Porsche Taycan territory. But the one thing I do love about the acceleration on this is that it's very smooth. It's not scary like a Taycan is, and I had the Taycan Turbo, and so just like the Taycan Turbo that I had, when you put your foot down, it really did just throw you into your seat. And if you've got a passenger with you, it can be a little bit unnerving. But with this, it feels very controlled, it feels very smooth, feels very sure-footed thanks to that four-wheel drive system, and as a result it means that overtaking is an absolute doddle. It is just so effortless in the Seal. So yeah, that's actually one big positive if you are looking for essentially choosing your Seal when it comes down to trim levels. In terms of standard equipment, you're fine all the way around. It's pretty much exactly the same. It just comes down to whether or not you want range or performance, and I think with either car you're going to be satisfied. Now, I've talked about the battery performance and range, but what about charging? So you've got a maximum charging speed of 150 kilowatts, so it is a little bit behind the likes of Tesla and Hyundai Group, which have the capabilities of doing 350 or 800 volt charging. But essentially the two key numbers to remember if you are charging at 150 kilowatts is that you can go from 30 to 80% in around 26 minutes. But the main kind of figure is going from 10 to 80%, and that's around 37 minutes. So that's not too bad when compared to its rivals. Granted, as I just said, there are cars out there that do charge faster. It just means that when you stop off at a services, you just have to have yourself an extra cup of tea and a wee whilst you're waiting for the car to charge to 80%. But 150 kilowatts is still respectable. And then when it comes to regen, I'm going to be honest, because I'm on the UK kind of media launch of the Seal, I've not had a chance to kind of delve into the menus and have a play with the regen settings. But the standard one that I've got right now as I'm driving along, it seems pretty strong. It's very decent. Now, there are two settings to choose from. There is essentially strong and standard, and I've got it pretty much in standard now, and it's not quite full one pedal driving, but it is a respectable amount of regen braking there. So yeah, you'll have to find out later on, or when I get the Seal for a full review, what that stronger regen setting is like. But like a lot of these electric cars, yes, you do have to go into the main menu system to kind of tweak and alter all the settings and gizmos and comfort features how you want it. But as I've only got this for a short period of time, yeah, I got the seat set and that's about it. But yeah, the standard regen as I'm going now, if I take my foot off, it's quite respectable. It'd be interesting to see what it's like in its strongest setting. So what's the ride and handling like in the Seal? Well, ride-wise, I am pleasantly surprised. Now, as standard and on both trim levels, you get 19-inch alloy wheels, and they've got that nice aerodynamic design to them, but they don't actually affect the ride quality too much. Now, at low speed, you can feel some of the little bumps and imperfections coming into the cabin. It's not uncomfortable. These seats really do take a massive chunk of the vibration out of those little bumps and imperfections. And like Hyundai Group cars, it seems to be that as you kind of increase speed, the car settles down. It feels more planted and deals with the bumps and imperfections really well. The main intrusion into the cabin is tyre roar, and even then, it's not that intrusive. Now, I would say as well, you do get what BYD called a Dyne Audio, I think that's how you pronounce it, system in the car. Haven't had a chance yet to experience it, but BYD are singing its praises, so I'm guessing this is going to be a very good sound system. So if you are on a long journey, have your tunes playing, and that will definitely take away any of those outside noises. Even wind noise, well, is very minimal, even from the wing mirrors and the A-pillar. So again, that's a massive positive for the refinement side. And then comes the handling of the Seal. Now, firstly, the steering wheel. It is really lovely. It's leather wrapped. Only criticism I'd say is it is quite chunky. But that's possibly because it has got all the heating elements and everything inside it. But it is nice to just hold on to. Now, bear with me. This truck's just pulled over. There we are, effortless. All-wheel drive, electric power. Okay, I do like that. That is addictive. So the handling, sorry, I went a little bit sidetracked there. Really positive. There's actually a nice amount of weight in the steering. If you do put it into sport mode, there is a little bit of extra weight there. So it does mean you do know what the front wheels are doing. But it's not, I don't want to say it's not a fun car, but basically it's not a car that's designed to be overall sporty. It's actually meant to be really nice and comfortable and give you a nice secure feeling. Everything about it has got a nice, just kind of secure feel. You know what it's doing. It's not going to scare you. And yes, I'm sure you could definitely have a lot of fun with it. But on UK roads, it does put a smile on your face, but it's not the sporty, rewarding drive you might get, say, from a Porsche Taycan, but it's a different type of car. This is just really nice and comfortable, and it's a very easy car to drive. It just has that extra bonus of that performance and sure-footedness when you chuck it into the corners. So yeah, it is a big positive with the Seal. The ride, refinement and handling, when it's all put together, it does make for a real pleasurable driving experience, and it does put a smile on your face, especially every time you put your foot down. It is addictive. That sub 4 second 0 to 60 time, I mean, yeah, there are sports cars out there that can't compete with this. So what are my thoughts on the BYD Seal here on its UK media drive event? Well, I think this is going to be a big hit for the Chinese brand. I do love the fact that with the 3 models they got in the UK, they are covering different segments. They're going after different parts of the market and actually kind of stirring it up a bit. They really are stirring up the pot. You've got the Atto 3, which is going to be a real kind of competitor to the likes of the MG ZS EV and Ssangyong Korando e-motion. The Dolphin, which is just shy of 300 miles for under 30 grand. I mean, I've always said those are the 2 numbers that manufacturers have to hit, and they're very close to it. And then we've got this, the Seal, which is taking on the likes of the mighty Tesla Model 3 and Hyundai's Ioniq 6. Now, I've not driven the facelifted version of the Model 3. They are quite difficult to get hold of, but I have had experience driving the pre-facelift, and it's a lovely car, but I'd have a Seal. It just feels like a more quality product in here. Yes, I know the charging speeds and the range and everything is a little bit better than the Seal, But do you know what? I'd happily sacrifice those little elements there for just this real nice interior and, yeah, just a kind of ambiance that you get from the car. And then you've got the Ioniq 6 from Hyundai, which is definitely going to draw a few question marks with its styling, but that is probably where the biggest headache is going to be, because you've got two electric sedans or saloons, but they do both look very different. You've got, well, actually very similar cars. They're very similar for practicality. This does beat the Ioniq 6 for rear passenger space and also the front capacity. But when it comes to charging, yes, the Ioniq 6 wins. But if it comes down to styling, I think a lot of people are going to prefer the Seal. It's just a little bit more, I don't know, I don't want to say safe in its styling, but a bit more conservative compared to the Ioniq, which has got that real strong streamliner look to it. So yeah, in a market where, well, in the UK, where people aren't really buying saloons, we've got 3 brilliant electric saloons available. Now, if it was me personally, I wouldn't go for Tesla. I would be looking at the Ioniq 6 and the Seal. And I don't think I can make a conclusion until I've had one of these for a proper review. I've lived with it for a week. But just from this brief drive, it's bloody close. So everyone, I hope you've enjoyed this quite short video of my first drive in a BYD Seal here on its media launch or media tour around the UK. If you've got any questions about the Seal, please put them in the comment section below. I'll do my utmost to answer them. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification icon. You know the drill already. Something I am going to mention right now as well, if you have kind of seen something a bit unique as I'm driving, yes, the indicator stalk is on the right hand side of the steering column. That's not standard. It is going to the traditional way where it's on the left hand side and the wipers are on the right. So it's been a bit odd to kind of get used to. It feels like I'm driving a Japanese import at times, but yeah, just be aware it is going to be going to normal UK settings I think come the new year. But cars that are in the UK already are set up like this, but customers are already happy with it. But yeah, I've really enjoyed the BYD Seal. It's a very lovely place to be, comfortable. All the numbers are in the right boxes, basically. It's a genuine rival to a Tesla Model 3, a Hyundai Ioniq 6, and this is going to do very well. It is priced actually really well with the performance and the level of technology. For under 50 grand, it's a winner. So as I asked right at the start of the review, does the, pun intended, BYD Seal get my seal of approval? Yes, it does. And I cannot wait to get one of these for a proper review. I think I'm going to enjoy it, but not only that, I think a lot of people on the outside are going to be asking a lot of questions about what it is and where they can look at one and have a drive. Yeah. Have a great day, everyone. And yeah, I'll catch you all in the next video. Take care.